And now for my next act, I'm going to be making wild rice pilaf and saucy cranberry chicken at the same time. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. Since the wild rice pilaf takes the most time, we're going to begin with it. So go ahead and start your saute and wait for the pot to say hot. Okay, now that your pot is hot, add a tablespoon of butter. Now we're going to add our mushrooms. It calls for 4 ounces, but I'm going to add all 8 ounces. You could cut your own mushrooms up and have only 4 ounces, but we love mushrooms here. So we're going to add double the amount. Okay, saute for a few minutes until it's starting to brown nicely. When your mushrooms start smelling real good and the texture gives a little bit, go ahead and add a half a cup of diced onions. Continue to stir and saute for about 2 minutes. Go ahead and press cancel and then immediately just stir in your garlic. You're going to have about 2 garlic cloves minced. You can add more if you like garlic. At this point, add a cup and a half of either your beef broth, chicken broth, or water. Doesn't matter. I would normally use either beef or chicken, but I used all my chicken broth for the chicken noodle soup. So I'm using water today to deglaze. Make sure you do deglaze the pot. Scrape any brown bits off the bottom to prevent the dreaded burn warning. Now we're going to add in the rice, a cup of wild rice, not a blend. Took me forever to find this. I found this at Walmart. It was the last one there. I went to about 4 different stores, including Publix and Aldi's and Kroger and Walmart, to try to find one that was not a blend, but just pure wild rice. We're going to add that. A half of teaspoon of fresh thyme, a half a teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. Stir all of your ingredients until it's incorporated throughout. Close the lid. Make sure the valve is set to sealing. Push the manual or pressure cook on this one. It says pressure cook. And use your plus button to go to 20 minutes. When it beeps, it's done. Leave it for a full natural release, about 10 to 15 minutes. Now for the saucy cranberry chicken part. I want to explain what I'm doing because this is my favorite recipe, but I'm doing it a little bit differently. I usually use chicken thighs, but I had some chicken tenders on hand, so you're going to have to cook them a little bit differently. For the thighs, I usually do the same thing. I pat them dry and salt and pepper them. But then I usually add oil and butter, about a tablespoon of each. And then I brown the chicken well on both sides. And then I transfer it to a plate and I do the rest. So with chicken tenders, I don't need to brown those on both sides because they will cook through very quickly. So I'm just going to add them to the pot raw. Now the pot is hot, so we're going to add a tablespoon of butter and an onion. I love the smell of sauteed onions. Okay, when they're brown, cancel the saute function. Add in around 2 cloves of minced garlic. And to deglaze, you're going to add a half a cup of water or half a cup of chicken broth, which again, I ran out of because I did chicken noodle soup last night. So I'm using water today. Now we are going to add our chicken. And again, these are raw chicken tenders. I usually use about 4 to 6 chicken thighs, but I'm using about 5 chicken tenders here. Just put them in there raw. Next, we're going to add our vinegar, brown sugar, soy sauce, salt, and pepper. So it's about 1/4 of a cup of vinegar, 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. I used a little bit less because I find it's very sweet in this recipe. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Next comes the interesting part. You're going to use a 1/2 cup of ketchup and about 3/4 cup of cranberry sauce. Now you're not going to stir this in, so just want to put it over the top of the chicken. I've already mixed up the ketchup and the cranberry sauce. This is what makes it taste amazing. And again, we'll see, because I always use chicken thighs, and I always make sure I brown them on both sides. And this is completely new the way I'm doing it, so see how it turns out. Now you're going to cover it. Set your valve to sealing. Set your manual button for 4 minutes with a 10-minute natural release. Now if you're doing the chicken thighs, it's completely different. You would use 15 minutes to cook, and then you would do a 10-minute natural release. So that this is completely different. We'll see how it turns out. We don't have much time while both pots are going, so I guess this time we won't find anything to do. While our chicken is just coming up to pressure, our rice is ready to release. But that's okay. We can let the rice aerate or aerate. Okay, let's see what the rice looks like. Oh, that looks great. Look at that. That looks perfect. And it's time to release our chicken. And there's our saucy cranberry chicken tenders. Plate it and serve. Wild rice pilaf and saucy cranberry chicken. Enjoy.